back to the Prelude podcast. It looks a little different, I know. Just to let you guys be aware, we are not social distancing because we're accountability brothers. Well, Chase is, because Chase is Chase, but we're all accountability brothers. So we've been seeing each other, and as things have been opening up more, we've been seeing each other more. So who I got here, a familiar face, Adam, Guitar Man Connolly, got Jake Dayton, and we got Chase. Chase, how you doing over there in your neck of the woods?
Doing all right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How have you been feeling with everything slowly reopening in the world, going crazy each week?
No, that about sums it up right there. Crazy is the optimal word. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, we'll probably get into it. Adam, how you been? Because I obviously didn't ask you this question when I first saw you today.
No, of course not. I was surprised you were going to ask me that, actually.
Hey,
Yeah. I'm doing all right. I think just trying to grasp everything that's going on. I think learning about what's going on too, not trying to run away from it, but actually without going too head on into the mess of things, just learning and adapting to the changes instead of just wanting a way out of it. I think that's what I'm just trying to do right now. I'm just trying to learn more about what's going on.
And for those of you who are listening who may not know because you live under a rock or you don't have internet, which is weird because you're listening to this on internet, either way, the world's kind of going through a pretty big shift. Racism is the hot topic, and so we've all been kind of talking about that and how we feel and dealing with our feelings of that. Jake, how about you?
Honestly, it's been difficult. I've been trying to just kind of redefine hope for myself, redefine just a sense of optimism, and that's been difficult for me to do. It's actually been kind of a depressive time. I have had some nice times, which just like meeting with accountability group, meeting with Kevin the other night when he wrote his testimony. That was awesome. But yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle, not gonna lie.
Yeah, Kevin's our friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, who is another one of our accountability brothers. He's working on his testimony, and if you guys want to, you can check that out Friday night on SCGCR on their Facebook. They'll be sharing that, and we're stoked for him. But yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I feel weird doing that. I don't know what to do with my hands. Anyway,
Play guitar.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree. Like, it's been a very sad time because I think that it's hot in this car. We're all in a car because we needed some sound. So roll this window down. Yeah, it's been kind of like a sad time for me, at least, and I've been trying to live in the present without kind of letting the present beat me up. Because we have to live in the here and the now, and that's really hard when everything's so hate-based, so fear-based, and just super just kind of super heavy, and not in a good heavy. Like, there's good heavy, but like not in a good way. And so I've kind of found some ways that I kind of do to kind of unplug from the negativity to still remain very centered in the now, and to kind of also not let the hate kind of overtake me, if that makes sense. Before we get to that, can we just move the camera and turn the air on?
I mean, I guess I'll just hold it.
Yeah, then just turn the air on, Adam. It's hot. I didn't plan this
Live production at its finest.
Because can you hear us?
Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah, so one of the things I've been doing is I've actually been unplugging from social media, and you can't get rid of Adam's trees.
Apparently not.
Adam's a tree collector.
I used to have probably like 10
50
different trees.
Anyway, it's distracting. They can't see it. Yeah, anyway, so one of the things I've been trying to do is unplug from social media and news outlets for a day at least. I try to stay off of those for a day and I go back and forth. It helps so much because it kind of, we talked a little bit about it in our accountability group. There's a lot of emotion going in with everything going on in the world right now. And I think unplugging from everything kind of centers you and helps you figure out what you really want. You know? Yeah, what do you guys say?
I think the one thing that's kind of stuck out to me was really kind of defining for myself, like, what can or should I really be doing out of all this? And usually it comes down to some kind of directive of just like, be what you wish others would have been for you. like I don't know, be there for people. Be kind of mindful about how you are affecting other people, and like honestly just have more understanding for people around me that are just like maybe don't necessarily see that they're kind of being a bull in a china shop right now. And just kind of expecting that, you know, they do have actual hurts. They might not be very good at explaining that, but just being patient.
Yeah, I like that. I agree to that. Adam?
I'm trying to remember exactly what because I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I couldn't remember what the.
How do you be present when the present is so negative or hurtful right now?
Okay. Well, coming from a point of view of always creating scenarios and living either in the past, or creating scenarios for the future and not really noticing what's going on right now, it's like I think that has been the critical low for me, is just going straight to scenarios, creating a different normal, a different reality for myself. I think that's the thing that I've gone to in those lower moments. But when it comes to actually trying to become present, because I've seen the good that comes from living in the present and seeing what's actually in front of me, and I've seen the benefits and how almost the days seem to double in time. I think just those little key factors when it comes to living in the present, that's the thing that I always try to remember and remind myself, so that I can be like, okay, even though it's really crappy present for me right now, even though there may be a lot of things going on that I don't want to deal with, I still have to tell myself that's what's going on. You're just going to live through it. You know, like you can't stop it from happening.
Yeah.
Because your present is always changing also.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to change with it. Otherwise you're going to be depressed living in, you know, the past and everything, or you're going to be super anxious about anything that's coming in the future.
Yeah.
So I'd like to, I don't know, look at everything as like, okay, how can I make my present better just by saying, okay, I understand this bad thing's happening, but let's try to do the best. I guess what a lot of what was it?
It's a similar sentiment.
What, I don't know if for anyone who's listening who doesn't know that we go to a church, our pastor has continuously said in many different things, just do the next right thing.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Did you have something to add to that?
Well, yeah, I think going off of Adam a little bit, like for me, the idea is kind of to just always keep busy a little bit, in a sense, like to always have something next to do. Because the moment you don't have something next to do is the moment that you kind of stop moving, and then you get stuck in that place of like, now what do I do? Where do I go?
Yeah.
Versus if you always have some next goal or some next thing to do, not only is it good as like a mental thing to just kind of keep you moving, but it's good in the sense of like you're always striving for some next thing. Now that can go two ways, because you can look at it the bad way too, and it's like you're always striving for that next thing, and you sort of develop the unhealthy habit of like always wanting what's next.
Yeah.
And so it's finding that balance of what's next versus when do I slow down.
Yeah.
But
It's
the
also
difference is like
open.
slow down versus stop, you know?
Yeah.
It's, I kind of like look at it like it's gonna sound weird, but like prisoners. I've had a couple family members spend time in prison. I myself have not spent time in prison, contrary to popular belief. And yeah, and I love watching prison shows. And this kind of came up to me this last Wednesday, like this image, because I was watching a prison show. It was called Los Tigres de la Norte at Folsom Prison, and it was a Hispanic band um, playing music to the prisoners of Folsom Prison, and hearing like the interview of the inmates kind of talking about how like to an extent how deep their faith was and how they had time to contemplate their past, kind of like looking to the past, but how much they spent that time in like reflection and like self betterment. Because the people that they interviewed, they seemed like they had a good sense of like who they are and who they want to be when they get out, because there's nothing to do. You know, when you're in prison, you're stuck in a cell. You have maybe a couple books, get a few hours outside, and that's about it. You know, and so you have a lot of time to reflect on the past, so you can understand like, because in that present you can understand who you are and who you want to be. And I've seen that. I've seen some of my family members who come out of prison, they kind of like get shaken up because like kind of like to Adam's point, like each day changes, you know, and some of them weren't ready for that adaptation, and some of them were, because they spent that time they were in the present to kind of work on themselves and reflect on themselves. So I think part of being present is knowing who you are, and to follow that with like one of my favorite quotes, know who you are and whose you are, you know. And so well, I don't think that we should like harp on the past. I do think that moments of self-reflection are super important as well, and knowing who you are kind of sets you up to deal with things better, because you know how you work, you know, like Chase, for example, you like to keep busy, you know, and that's how you kind of stay present. For me, I need to have like an hour by myself. If I do not have an hour by myself, I go crazy and I stress out, you know. That's how I stay present. And so yeah.
No, yeah, I think you bring up a good point too, and kind of something to add to that is like you brought up kind of almost the idea like the prison scenario, like solitary confinement, right?
Yeah.
You can look at that phrase right there as two different things. You can look at it as time away from being present, right? Or you can look at it as time to yourself to take part in the present.
Yeah.
Right? So to that same analogy, right? We're all kind of in some sense in our own little prisons. And we have our times when we come out in the day and we need to kind of be present with other people, like you're saying, or whatever. And then there are times where, like, even for me, like keeping busy is kind of my thing, right? As long as I've got something to do, some next thing to carry on doing, I'm all good. But at the same time, I do feel that need of like time to myself is a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, like there is that time where like slow down, go be with people, do something else, and then you can get back to sort of like the life of to-do lists.
Yeah. Because we're always going to be busy. That's just the fact of where we live and where we are, you know. And again, to Adam's point, the day's going to change it, but who you are and how you get that right is super important. Like, I didn't realize until I was probably in college how much. Gonna change his hat up on us.
When you know things are getting serious.
I know the hat's backwards. But yeah, like, dang. Oh, I found it. So I didn't know until I was in college how important alone time was and how much it was necessary for me, because I was just always around people, whether in class, whether in church, whether my friends. I was just always around people. And even now, like in my relationship, I have a girlfriend. Even on my relationship with her, we both need a day away from each other because we both refuel that way. And when I was growing up, I thought that was the craziest thing. Like, why would you want to be away from your like girlfriend, dude? That's weird. No, it's great because you both recharge and you come back better for each other. Because no one wants to hang out with someone who's just not wanting to be there, you know? And I think that's an interesting, like, I think people forget that like we can tell when someone doesn't want to be there, you know, and I think that's whether it's like intentional or not, where if it's filled with malice or not. I think that's important to kind of recognize. Like, we know when you don't want to be here, and for me, I try to like get right with myself so people don't ever feel that way with me. Because I like to think I'm a very comforting and peaceful person around others, and I just want to continue to carry that.
I think that actually is a pretty big deal when trying to be present, or it's a pretty big component of it. Is like people can tell if you just want to not even be anywhere close to that, or just like, oh, I'm just not interested in talking with you. Like that's a terrible thing, but like that's you not being present. It's you being on your phone. It's you being thinking about whatever plans you got instead of caring about what that person is talking about right in front of you.
And that's where having more things going on in your life, I feel like obviously you can't always stop certain things from going on in your life, but the things that you do have control over, it's like that a lot of times people will just keep on tacking more and more and more just to fill in those empty spaces. Because a lot of the time, what I've learned for myself and also just from a lot of people in general is like stopping is something that you might be afraid of, or the silence of that comes along with stopping is what is what people are afraid of, because they are scared of what might come out of it. They don't know what the silence will bring, because that's where all of their thoughts come alive. That's where everything starts just getting
you find
more
out
and more
who you
drawing.
really are, which goes to the point of solitary confinement. That brings up an interesting question. Are we present when we have nothing to do, or are we present when we have a lot of things to do?
Just depends on if you're able to take in that information either way. Like
how you take in the information in both scenarios, that's the only.
It's like if you're overwhelmed either by just a flood of a lot of anxious thoughts because you're finally quiet, or because you're just overwhelmed because you have not said no to enough things and you overwhelmed yourself. You're not present. But there comes a time when like you can actually spend time working on these things and actually like put in some real quality to it, and then that's when you're present, I think.
Go ahead, Jace.
I definitely think you do bring up a good point, like the idea of how much is too much in a sense. Like for me, right, my thing is keeping busy. That's how I stay present with people, by doing lots of things, because inherently on my own I'm one to like stay at home and do nothing. Like
you're a hermit.
No question about it. No, I'm very good at kind of pulling off sort of the hermit personality. I don't mind having lots of time to myself to just do things I want to do. But at the same time, for me, being present with other people requires that like I just get out and do lots of things, whether that's just hanging out and chatting with people, kind of like what we're doing now or whatever, or if it's going somewhere and doing something and getting involved in something, whatever it is. Just having something to do with other people is my way of staying present. But at the same time, to your point, like Jake was saying or whatever, is you have to find that balance of when do you say no to some things, and like where do you find the balance of what is too much and what is not enough, in a sense. Like where is your gap of like the perfect amount? Because when you end up in that space where too much is happening, now you're not either being present or you're being like a little too present almost. Like where you're almost like you're there all the time doing things, and it's like people wonder like, do you ever not do something? And vice versa on the other end is like, if you're not doing a whole lot, people wonder, do you ever actually like, are you ever present with things? So it's finding that balance of sort of the in between there.
Nice plug.
Gotta do that shameless self promo,
There you go. Yeah. Speaking of promo, if anyone wants salsa, Chase does amazing salsa.
It is true.
And you can DM him. Just slide in his DMs. It's
No, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't slide in.
We'll direct you. But yeah, we're almost coming up on time. We got about like 5 minutes, and so I want to do a little something different. I want you guys. What's one thing that made you guys happy this week? Me and my girlfriend do this, and we do this thing where whenever we end the night, this is gonna be really corny, and I don't like this side of me, but I also like it. At the end of the night, we ask what was one thing good. Don't look at me that way, Adam.
Stare at him. Make him uncomfortable.
Made you happy this week, or this week? Yeah, we'll do this week because you guys don't know. What's one thing that made you happy this week? What's one thing that you wanted to fix this week? Hey, what's up? You see some friends running by. They're cute. Anyway, they're a couple. It's fine. It's not weird. I know them. What's one thing that you wanted to try to fix or change this week? And what do you look forward to in the next week?
Well, okay, I'll just go first. It came up. I remember there's one thing.
Yeah.
I remember walking to a coffee shop, Java Connection. Hit him up if you're in Cyprus. Ball Road. Awesome. Great owner. Really good conversationalist. Besides that, I went to Java Connection. I walked over there, grabbed some coffee, walked back, and it's fairly close to my house, so it didn't take too long. But I just noticed how close to perfect the day was. Just the temperature, sounds, even the smells. Like I walked through a bunch of different bushes and hedges that had flowers on them. Smelled amazing. Walking into the coffee shop, the smells always bring back good memories. Just, like hanging out there from when everything was still open. I mean, our accountability group would go there, every Tuesday, or just on whatever occasion we would be able to hang out there. But just starting that morning right, I think that set the whole entire day perfectly for me. And I noticed I think it kind of, I was able to pull or like take out from that pool of energy that I had from that kind of positivity, and I put it back into the afternoon. This was on Sunday. And yesterday, wow. I got back home and I decided to just bring the Subway that I bought on the way back home, and got some food from home also, and took a chair and walked to the park that's inside my neighborhood and just sat there and had a book. I was just reading and eating my food and just enjoying the day. And I think that really ties in with being in the present. And it seemed like in those moments, what was, an hour seemed a lot longer than that. It really prolonged the whole experience, and I was just lucky that it was a positive one.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah. What made you happy this week, Jake?
And I think the thing that made me the most happy was waking up Saturday and not having a headache and not feeling terrible. Yeah, for some reason, it's finally been narrowed down that I've been apparently having some pretty bad caffeine withdrawals, and after like a few days of stopping drinking any caffeine, I ended up just not having a headache the entire day. feeling pretty good for once. I know I'll be back, but at least I know it's like, oh, my body really actually does react to that. That was following a night that again, Kevin wrote his testimony. He wanted to kind of celebrate, so we ended up walking on the beach at Newport and just like talking, and there ended up being some kids shooting out some fireworks, and it's like just kind of cool. Not necessarily like, I know that's not allowed there, but like I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So it was nice. Like, yeah,
That's right.
it's really
It was
rad.
a outside celebration. You're just like, sure, keep them coming.
Yeah, this is great.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice. think for me, what made me happy this week was I went and reconnected with some like old family members, and that was really nice. I got to kind of catch up and see where everyone's at. I got to see it's my second cousin, but I just call her my niece just because it's easier. I got to see my niece, and I hadn't seen her ever. Like it was like a live human being my cousins created. You know, like that's weird to think about. You know, and it was really rad to kind of reconnect, and it was a good day. Kind of similar to Adam, it was a really good day. I got like a bunch of coffee, so I was just hyped up on like caffeine, and it was great. And I bought two new Bibles, which I was really stoked for. I've been planning for that, and finally Barnes and Noble opened again, and went to CR and really had a good conversation with Moy. I made amazing eggs. I love making eggs. It was great, and yeah, that was a good day, for real. Chase.
Oh man, where to begin with that one? I think for me, the exciting thing would probably be just spending some quality family time. Something that with busy school schedule, work, life, sort of didn't really happen. And then when all this stuff went down with quarantine and all this other stuff, I think it opened up sort of a window of like we can all kind of chill and just have time to like actually do some of the stuff we want to do rather than being like, oh, we got to schedule like what weekend everybody has like time off to do something. It was just like, no, let's just do it. Yeah. So for me, that was kind of this week was the highlight, was just kind of being able to just spend that time and not have to worry about like what's next or who's not here tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah. That's rad. I like that. Quick question. Are you, the first week of quarantine, was it like a lot of relearning what ticks your family members off?
No.
I know in my, or you already knew?
I think for me, within like the first week of everything, we kind of already knew where the lines were.
Okay.
Like we knew kind of who bugged who, what bugged who, where not to go, sort of thing.
Gotcha.
But I do think that as time progressed, we learned more and more things, both good and bad, about each other.
There you go.
Like the good, the bad, the ugly sort of situation.
There you go.
Yeah. I definitely think within the first week it wasn't too bad.
We had to do a lot of relearning in my house. We're all busy, so.
Considering how many there are, too.
Yeah. I have 20 siblings. Anyway,
Well, over.
we're not gonna do the negative one because we gotta keep it positive, gotta keep it light. So to end this, what do you guys look forward to this next week?
Oh, okay. Well, one of the things is just getting back into running and getting a new pair of shoes because the ones that I have now
Are you getting them Nikes?
No, Brooks. It's all about the Brooks. I've been running with Brooks for a long time now, and they've not failed me. They have not failed me.
I've never heard anyone call them that.
Brooks?
The Reeboks?
No, there's an actual brand name called Brooks.
Yeah,
yes.
Oh, I'm stupid.
Yes, you are.
Oh man, I'm sorry, everybody.
Not
I thought
stupid.
he was
Very
calling
ignorant.
Anyways.
Brooks, not Reeboks. No, it's Brooks. Anyways, good brand. You should try them out if you haven't. I've been I've been wanting to get new shoes because they've been causing me a lot of problems. I've been wearing them for way too long. But I think just running has been a long time ever since high school. A long time, just source of enjoyment for me of just getting out, and that's where I can be in the present more, is just with my body, with my breathing, with even if it's not my breathing, even if it's just my body doing its thing and just me going for a run. I think that's where I feel like I'm at my healthiest, is where I can just, if I choose somewhere to go, I can go there because I've been running for long enough and I've gotten that base down. But I think that's just a source of enjoyment that I've been missing out on a lot recently, just because I've had a lot of knee problems and everything. So buying a new pair of shoes will for sure. It's funny that buying something new does bring happiness in a way because of what I'm able to do. I'm able to run and not have any knee problems, you know, like, so that's kind of where that peace comes from.
Or you're just old.
Dang.
A lot of wear and tear.
A lot of wear and tear on these knees. All right, I've been running since high school. So.
Jake, what are you looking forward to, man?
Honestly,
Are you getting a pair of Brooks?
no, I'm not buying anything because I've been out of a job for a long time. But I'm looking forward to doing stuff at church next week.
That's right.
I'm really looking forward to
You stole
CR and looking forward to young adults, whatever
Yep.
form that takes. Even if it's going to be weird, I don't care. It's going to be
That's right,
different.
guys. SCG Young Adults is coming back this Sunday drive-through. Yeah, I didn't get paid for that plug, so that's as much as I got.
Free
Drive-in
promo.
service.
Yeah, the drive-in service. All right. Now, no one can say I'm biased to CR because I'm promoting both, so I'm biased to both. Anyway, I'm stealing Jake's answer. Yeah, I'm excited to see CR back. I'm excited to see the drive-through back for young adults. Yeah, it's gonna be nice to see people, even if we're doing this physical distance. I'm not calling it social distance no more. Even if we're doing this physical distancing, I'm kind of fine with it. You know, yeah, I'm just excited to go, see Matt talk and go get an In-N-Out burger with people right afterwards. Because like we can't go to young adults and not get an In-N-Out.
The outside patio, guys, just to let you know, outside patio, limited seating, but there's also limited seating inside if you get there in time. You know, if you get there at the right time, you'll be able to get a spot.
Well, if it's anything like before, I think our group is a little too big for
Oh yeah,
Oh,
so
absolutely.
hey,
So
just find a
outside.
large
We'll do
area
the
in the parking
drive-through.
lot, yeah.
We'll do the drive-in in and out.
Yes.
Turn that place into a Sonics.
be on the parking lot.
I'll be that person on skates bringing your food.
That'll be cute. I'm sorry. Okay, Chase, what are you looking forward to this week?
Oh man. I think for me, the thing to look forward to is just getting into hobbies and different things that I just haven't had a lot of time to, I guess, just get into and to like explore more and do more in. You know, there were lots of hobbies that during like school time I just wouldn't have the time to do. You know, or if it was during job time or whatever it is, I just wouldn't be able to do it because I wouldn't have enough time in the day to really devote the time I want to either learning a new skill as part of a hobby or just playing around with a hobby, whether it's, you know, creating content or doing music or just hanging with friends and doing things that like we always talked about doing, even if some of those might be slightly different now. Just looking forward to that, and I mean looking forward to things getting sort of back to normal, is whatever that new normal might be. Whatever it is, I just look forward to it because it's better than where we're at now. It's the way I think about it, to keep it positive.
Hashtag Interlude Coffee House 2022.
Maybe a thing.
Maybe.
Yeah,
We'll have to
We'll
keep
see.
talking about it.
off air. But yeah, I just want to thank you guys for listening to this podcast. This is